Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Jeremy Ginsberg. I am an Infinity Breathwork instructor and co-founder. In this video, I'm really excited to talk about breathwork and all of the different amazing techniques that are becoming more and more popular these days. I feel like we are living in the age of breathwork. It is an ancient practice, but it's coming back. And I really believe very soon doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists are going to start recommending breathwork and seeing it as this conventional practice that can help the human body heal and reach its maximum potential, and many, many more things. So this is not a video about infinity breathwork. This is about the top 5 modern day breathwork techniques that are on the internet and being spread out through the entire globe, the entire planet. So before I get into the numbers, I just want to share, this is obviously personal preference. I have experimented with each of these techniques, as I will discuss, but I'll also say that every breathwork technique on this list I love and I enjoy and I endorse, and there's many breathing techniques out there being rediscovered, being transformed and combined and fused with other practices. So there's a lot that unfortunately didn't make this list because there's so many beautiful ones. But this is a video for those of you who are perhaps new to breathwork or who have discovered 1 or 2 techniques that you enjoy, and it'll help you give you an understanding to what's out there and which breathing technique, from my perspective, is aligned with different paths of healing or different intentions or goals, and which method can help best take you there. So, are you ready? Take a deep breath with me. And here we go. So, starting at number 5 is oxygen advantage, or OA for short. I guess I gotta work on my lines. Anyways, so this is coming in at number 5 for many reasons. 1, I actually have the least experience and exposure to this technique. It was founded or created by a man named Patrick McKenzie, I believe, and there's a book, Oxygen Advantage, and the reason I'm going to spend not too long on this one is because he studied under Professor Buteyko, which will make an appearance on this list. But Oxygen Advantage is, I think it's a beautiful introduction to nasal breathing. It's great if you're an athlete. It's great if you're into science and hard facts and not so into emotional and energetic and spiritual components of breathwork. And basically what Oxygen Advantage is learning how to actually breathe less. So cutting the mouth breathing through the nose, a lot of breathing through one nostril, or just breathing really slow, really shallow, soft, gentle. And this is a lifestyle. I mean, in the book Oxygen Advantage, he talks about how it's used in different Olympic athletes' training regimens and how it's been kept secret because they don't want to share how they're training. But basically, Oxygen Advantage is great introduction. It can help with asthma, it can help with sleep. And one thing I also love about it is these practices it's a lifestyle practice. It's not, okay, sit down for 20 minutes, do this hardcore breathing while laying down, and then go back into your life. It's something you can integrate every day while you're eating, while you're on the bus, while you're driving, while you're exercising. And it's a beautiful way to build the habit of using the breath as an anchor back to yourself, back to your present moment, linking your mind, whatever you're thinking, to your body and focusing on yourself. So it's a great technique, highly recommend it. However, I haven't experienced so much of the materials and the content And that's because at number 4, we have the Buteyko Method. All right, so the reason I'm not going to spend that much time on Oxygen Advantage is because the founder of Oxygen Advantage studied under Professor Buteyko. And so what he has done is he's taking a lot of these very strict practices from the Soviet Union at the time when he created it, and he's made them much more accessible to the average person. However, I started here. So if you haven't started with Buteyko, I would start with Oxygen Advantage, and then when you feel you've got the bravery, the courage, you've got the practice, the discipline, then you can move into the Buteyko practices, which are far more intense. And so another big difference is Buteyko is used a lot for healing. When I did my online Buteyko training program, some of the other people were very sick in my group. I'm talking very, very sick. It was a bit sad and scary to see the places these people were in. So Buteyko is far more comprehensive. It has a lifestyle component, but it's also far more intense. They recommend constant practice, minimum 60, maybe 90 minutes a day before every meal. Anytime you're feeling symptoms, they highly suggest you just do more practice. It also comes with a lifestyle guide and can be seen as a little bit too strict. At some time, I felt like, is this a religion? Because it has a list of what foods to eat and how it affects your oxygen and carbon dioxide levels and how to sleep, which is best sitting upright, taping your mouth closed, and highly, highly opposed to breathing through your mouth. Where Oxygen Advantage, I feel like Patrick's done a great job making that more accessible to the average person who's not desperate for healing, who's not dealing with chronic pain or has severe asthma or severe symptoms. Where this is more for athletes and people who are just trying to optimize their physical and endurance. Buteyko is much deeper. I find it's much more powerful, but they are built on the same foundation, if you will. Buteyko is it's more intense. I mean, it's got that Russian flavor. And as you'll notice, a lot of these breathing techniques, like anything, if you go to the source, you'll learn a lot about why it's like that. So I believe Patrick is from Ireland, so different energy, right, that you get from him. The personality of the guide or the practitioner has a lot to do with how it's delivered. Buteyko, Soviet Union, much more intense, strict. At the same time, it's great and it delivers results. And it also has more, I would say more practices as well, but very similar schools of thought, and it also has great online programs. The instructors, in my opinion, were a little bit strict, but at the time I needed that. It's very, requires a lot of discipline. And both are really just focused on breathing through your nose. As you can tell, I'm breathing through my mouth. So of course, one thing to look out for at Buteyko is it's very strict. Basically, they had me convinced that breathing through my mouth is horrible. I'm going to get sick. I'm a singer. I love talking. I'm a coach. I'm a teacher. So it was frustrating because they were telling me kind of, hey, you got to be careful. Don't have coaching sessions longer for 60 minutes because you're going to speak through your mouth for too much. And I think they're a little bit narrow-minded in that way. But again, I'm not sure Buteyko himself was. Since he's not around anymore, the people that are facilitating and teaching it now have their own take and their own view on things. So number 4, Buteyko Method. Yeah, they teach great ways to use it while walking, while exercising, in the sauna. A lot of similar stuff you'll find in Oxygen Advantage, just a little bit more intense and strict, and also very scientific. But it's correlated more to the aspect of healing and resolving symptoms. They have all these case studies. Aside from healing, it also helps with singing your diaphragm, and has these other great effects, but they're focused more on healing, which is what drew me to them in the first place, dealing with chronic headaches and having a lot of experience with some of the other breathing techniques that we'll move on to right now. So at number 3, and this may come as a surprise, here we go. Midwest. The Midwest Method. So this one is created by this guy named Jesse, who's also a Wim Hof Method instructor, and he's all over YouTube, all over the web. If you're watching this video, you've probably seen some of his content. He's a really great guy. And what I love about his approach or his technique is again, mostly focused on science and physical and how can you optimize your body. But he also brings this very, very Midwest flavor. He's very nice, very bubbly, very warm, accepting. And I'm also from the Midwest. I'm from Minnesota, so I appreciate that aspect. But also what he does is he uses a lot of counting. And he uses a bunch of different techniques of not just breath transformation, where you're going super deep and influencing what's going on in the chemistry inside of your body, but he also uses some calming, just natural breath regulation. Inhale for 3, exhale for 5, inhale for 2, exhale for 8. So I feel like he does a really good job taking different breathing techniques and piling them together into a beautiful journey that's very intentional, easy to follow. And yeah, he's just a great guy. He's also got a ton of content on his videos, on his YouTube channel, where he just discusses different subtle elements of how to do breath work, what to do when this happens, and really a lot of great, frequently asked questions, you could say, about breath work, about the Wim Hof Method, also about cold training and other things. But for the sake of this video, he gets his spot at number 3 because he does a great job, very consistent. And at this time, I don't believe he has any online courses available, but he does have a Patreon page where you can support him, and he offers breathwork sessions in the US and some online as well. And Oxygen Advantage also on their website, they've got materials, books, courses, and all that stuff that, I'm recommending all these that I'm including, otherwise it wouldn't make the top 5 list. And at this point, I'm not an affiliate, so I don't gain anything personally. I'm just doing my best to spread helpful information for those of you who are interested and who can kind of maybe decide, if you're early on in the breathwork journey, which one is best for you at this time. So Jesse Midwest Method is great for athletes, people who have done the Wim Hof Method but are looking for something a bit different, people who have tried the Wim Hof Method but it's a bit too intense for them. Jesse's got a nice, more grounded, soothing flavor to him. So he also uses great music, and that's another thing I find really valuable. The more and the deeper I go into breath work, and as you can see, I've got instruments here that we use in our breath workshops that we lead, is really making it fun, making it playful. And the one thing I feel like I didn't get so much out of these two is like, come on, just do it, keep going. It's this, hey, this is what's happening in your body. It's very masculine and goal-oriented, and keep going. Where the 3 up here, as you notice, they're in the top 3, have more of this playful element. So they use music. There's this emotional, mental, spiritual aspect to them. And I feel like for the long term, that's more exciting for me. So he's got some good videos up there for free with good music. Follow along, easy to follow, feels good. And yeah, very accessible. All right, coming up for number 2. All right. Number 2 is Soma Breathwork. So Soma, this top 3 are all, I would say, in their own category, as these two would say more lifestyle breathwork, mostly just breathe through your nose, if I had to sum it up in one sentence. These are getting more into transformation, into exceeding your limitations physically, mentally, and emotional. And Soma Breathwork does a great job in that. The founder, his name is Niraj. He's from the UK. His story is very inspiring. He fell terminally sick or was very ill and bedridden, and basically chose the path of natural healing and chose raw food, and that's something I really connect to in his story. He's been through a lot. He's suffered. But he's built himself back up using the power of the breath and of natural healing, and that's what he teaches. So to me, that's very inspiring. And again, coming back to kind of who's teaching this, you can really dissect the subtleties of why they're teaching it, what's in that. So he's also from an Indian background. I believe his parents are from India, or he has that in his lineage. So he does a great job bridging yoga and the ancient breathing techniques with modern day and science. And he literally uses scientific toys, and he measures his heart rate and shows you on the screen in his online courses. So it's grounded in that sense, but it's also has beautiful spiritual aspects of law of attraction, manifestation, tapping into your dream, creating your reality, creating abundance, and using the breath to essentially raise your level of consciousness or raise your vibration, get some more clarity, and then from there take action. So it has this beautiful, inspiring coaching, you can do whatever you want element, which maybe that freaks you out and that's not for you, but for me personally, I enjoyed that, and it's also very deep. He's a very, again, he's grounded, but he's very spiritual, and so he opens you up to the power of love and truth, and uses these more abstract words and language, and another thing that makes it amazing is he's an electronic DJ or music producer or both, and so the music is very delicately created intentionally to guide people. So it's really a sound journey with breathing and breath work. And it's great. His online course, the Soma Awakening 21-Day Challenge, or maybe it's changed by now, but that's the one I went through. It's great. You get a couple guided journeys. There's a community aspect, and it's also filled with 10 or 15 different other breathing techniques that are common in the yogic tradition, pranayamas, and he just breaks them down, shows you how to do them, strips away the dogma, or however it's used in the yogic tradition for enlightenment or to take you from this phase to that. And he just says straight up, hey, here it is, here's how you do it, here's what it does to your body. So I actually found that very helpful as well, because I've been practicing yoga for maybe 5 or 6 years, and often at the beginning of a class, the instructor will say, okay, we're going to do some pranayama, in through one, out through the other, or here's this breathing technique. But I haven't had a teacher say, here's what we're doing, here's why, here's what it does. Perhaps that's what's taught in yoga teacher training. So he does a great job doing that. And yeah, the highlight of his is definitely the music. He uses the frequencies, and he's created kind of his own technology to help you go deeper and get your brain and gamma, alpha, delta, whatever's going to help you go deeper, and it's beautiful. He also uses visualization techniques, which again, if you're really about the hard science and physicality, that may turn you off if that's not where you're at right now on this path. But what I've found is as you go deeper into asking yourself bigger questions and finding your own truth, raising your consciousness, if you will, you'll probably start to go up this ladder and find more value, if you will, in these breathing techniques. But again, they're all great tools depending on where you're at in the path. So, sorry for that noise. All right, so that's Soma. Again, he's got a great online program. If I'm going to be honest, if anything I don't like about it is he's a great marketer, very good at business. So if that turns you off, that may frustrate you a bit. He's selling, his music, his songs, his tutorials, his instructor training, and I respect that. I understand. But if you're on his email list, he sends a lot of emails, so that may bother some people. Other than that, though, it's worth it. I do align with his vision. He's got a great heart, and he really wants to help people, and I think he just uses all of his skill set of marketing to grow his audience and to reach more people. But I would say more so than these other people. And I don't know him personally, actually. I haven't met any of these guys personally, but we do have some mutual friends because he spends a lot of his time in Thailand. So he also makes the music for Wim Hof. And that's number one. Wim Hof Method. I'm sure that doesn't come as a surprise to any of you. And so here Jesse studied under Wim Hof. Niraj has also studied under Wim Hof, and we got Patrick studied under Buteyko. So as you can see, they're all very much related. It's not like a competitive field. That's what I love about breathwork. It's, people just discover and have their own tweaks and add that. But the reason Wim Hof is at the top is just, again, his power. I feel like he's here to really make a difference, his legacy, and he's done so many amazing things that it's forced scientists and people to say, hey, what's going on? Can you show us what's going on? So he has his breathing technique, obviously his cold exposure and practices as well, which I won't go so much into now. But his energy, his enthusiasm, his charisma is what brings him to the top. He's just an inspiration, and you can see that his heart is so open, that he has so much compassion, and he really desperately wants the world to wake up, to feel more empowered, to connect with love, and to see that love and power are synonymous. And yeah, he's definitely an inspiration to myself. And this is the first breathing technique that I ever encountered and really fell for, if you will, fell in love with. And it's definitely a practice that I continue to use. However, I will say, it's very powerful. It's very masculine, It embodies this go, you penetrate and go and do this. So if you've tried the Wim Hof method and it's maybe a bit much, maybe he kind of triggers you. He's like, oh, this sounds too much. I can't handle this intensity, this energy. Then perhaps these two would be a better place to start. Again, they're very similar. One thing that the Soma Breathwork has that I forgot to mention is what's called the booster breath. So that's beautiful because that's basically using the method, or the scientific term I believe is called intermittent hypoxic training, which is basically the stage where your body goes into a great healing mode. And so he's added that to the Wim Hof method. Also, he adds music and his own flavor. A lot of these methods have a lot of things in common, and it's breathing. So it's not like you can, maybe you can, but it's ridiculous to trademark and copyright, all right, this is my technique. So within that, though, the booster breath is what makes this unique. Where Wim Hof is just his energy. It's his motivation, his ability to make people just go beyond what they believe, especially limitations. So it's healing. People going off medications, breaking through from depression, anxiety. If you go to the Facebook group, you read all these amazing success stories, and that's what makes this number one. It's just his charisma, his fire. They call it the inner fire, to really raise everyone and bring everyone out to their fullest potential. And he calls it the war against bacteria, the war against stress, talking about breaking through, how we're being civilized to death, and all these different philosophies that I find to be very inspiring, of just bringing us back to our power, back to our beautiful nature. And the breathing techniques are very simple yet powerful. And again, you can feel it in his energy when he's leading. He brings that energy that just, it's contagious. And again, of course, these are all, techniques and methods and styles, but one thing that I believe is becoming more and more apparent is it really depends who you're learning from. Just like in school, if you have a difficult subject that's boring, like calculus, but you have a really cool teacher who's able to make it fun and empower you, to make you feel like you can do it, then it completely changes the energy. And so in learning any of these techniques, it has a lot to do with the facilitator who's teaching it. So Wim Hof Method, Soma, Buteyko, and I think Oxygen Advantage too, they all have instructors that teach it. And depending on how they're trained, it really makes a difference how they present the information. And of course, personality has a big thing to do with it. If they're having a bad day, they could get more impatient. But Wim Hof and their team have done a great job creating their academy so that the technique outlives Wim. And to me, that's just something beautiful. They put a lot of work. It's intense. You have to go through several levels to be a certified, Wim Hof Method facilitator. And yeah, so that's another thing that I appreciate about that. It's filtered. where, Soma, I love it, it's great, but it seems much more easy to be a certified instructor, and I'm not so sure about those, but that's, different stages, but definitely it's leaving a legacy. It's leaving an imprint on this planet, and of course, Wim is an inspiration. He's going, spreading his message, creating a lot more YouTube videos these days, and yeah, I've actually done some work with the Wim Hof Method team, with one of the marketing guy who works in the office, as they call it, and so hopefully someday I'll get to meet Wim himself. Until then, I know he's seen one of my songs that I wrote for him, so I'm a bit of a fanboy, to be honest, when it comes to that. So yeah, one thing to watch out for in the Wim Hof Method is it's a lot of mouth breathing. He just says any hole, just get it in, doesn't matter. And these, I'd say these four would definitely disagree with that. He's just like, go and it doesn't matter, get out of your head, where these techniques definitely give you some more grounded principles and guides to follow, where Wim's just like, get out of your head, trust your body, and that was beautiful for me, from my experience. But at a certain point, I was still getting headaches during the practice, and I was straining my neck a lot, really not being careful. So one thing to watch out for, and yeah, just be careful. Your heart may open more, and you may become a hippie trying to hug people and saying peace and love everywhere. If you go deep into the Wim Hof Method, it tends to do that to people. So there you have it. Of course, this is I'm well over 25 minutes now, and I could talk about this stuff for hours, but I just wanted to give a basic rundown on what I believe to be the top 5 modern breathing techniques. These are all spreading. The people are really dedicated to growing and spreading these techniques, and so it's exciting as they're becoming companies, businesses, organizations, groups that are going and really changing the world for the better. So I'm really grateful to be a part of this breathwork movement, revolution, if you will, and part of my duty or responsibility as a disciple of the breath, or a breath worker, is to share what I've learned and to practice, and just to open up to whatever techniques can be beneficial for me, as well as sharing that with others. So just as a final kind of last review, we have Oxygen Advantage at 5, Buteyko Method at 4. Again, those are brothers, if you will, or cousins, first cousins, second cousins. We got the Midwest Method, which is just nice, and I just want to celebrate Jesse for putting out a lot of great content these days on YouTube. And then we got the Soma Breathwork, Niraj, and then number 1, the Wim Hof Method. So there you have it. If you have any questions, if I missed one, of course, there's so many amazing breathing techniques that we share and that are out there. And of course, my partner and I, we share a technique called Infinity Breathwork, which we combine, a lot of these, but it's mostly, I'd say, these 3 with a little of those if people need the personalization of it. And yeah, if you're interested in learning more about breathwork, please subscribe to this channel, put out content. I have some guided journeys. And if you're interested in learning more about Infinity Breathwork, currently the breathing technique that we're sharing, please check out the links in the description. We're currently hosting Biweekly events every other week, and it's free or donation based, pay what you can, so please check it out. Of course, this video is very informative, but I would love for you to experience some of these breathing techniques and experience the magic, so you can transform and feel in your body these concepts and philosophies that I've shared with you intellectually. What else? All right, that feels like a good place to end this video, so thank you so much. We can take a deep breath together to close. I hope you enjoyed this. Once again, my name is Jeremy Ginsberg. I am honored to be here and to make this content for you. And I hope you have an amazing day filled with peace, love, and breath. And to close, we'll just take a deep inhale together. So breathing in. Smile. And exhale, let it go. All right. Namaste, my brothers and sisters. Talk soon.